Assalamu alaikum friends and welcome. So here we are again trying to understand the topic of memory management. Let's begin. So first of all, why do we need memory management at all? So let's face it, processes requires memory to run. These days we can find memory sizes of even up to 32 gigs or more. But the size of the application also have been increased, and they need optimal or allocated memory to run. The requirement from memory management is always to keep memory available for the current running processes. The memory management unit performs usually these three tasks, which are the relocation, protection, and sharing. So relocation generally means we generally work on a multi-programming system. Several processes are running in the background, so it isn't possible for us to know in advance which other programs will reside in the main memory. The memory manager takes care of the executed and to be executed processes and allocates and frees up memory accordingly, making the execution of the process smooth and memory efficient. So meanwhile, the protection is also needed. Execution of multiple processes, one process may write in the address space of another process. This is why every process must be protected against unwanted interference by another process. The memory manager in this situation protects the address space of every single process. So sharing, when multiple processes run in the main memory, it is required to have a protection mechanism that must allow several processes to access the same portion of the memory, allowing each process the access to the main memory or the identical copy of that. Memory management allows controlled access to the shared memory without compromising the protection. We usually manage the memory using partitions. So we have two very popular techniques or methods of partitioning, known as fixed partitioning. Also we call that static partitioning, and the other one is the dynamic partitioning. So in fixed partitioning, the number of non-overlapping partitions in the RAM is fixed, but the size of each partition may not be the same. As the allocation of memory is contiguous, that is continuous, no spanning is allowed. So what is spanning? Spanning simply means we can't allocate non-contiguous space of the memory. Later you will see what I mean. So in fixed partitioning, the partitions are made either before execution or during system configuration. For example, we have two identical memories, one with an unequal portion size and the other with equal ones of 8 MB. Now let's suppose we have processes A and B, which are 4 and 6 MB of size respectively. They can be easily allocated where the space is equal or more than the process size. While on the other hand, we have a process of 4 MB. It can be accommodated in 8 MB size as well, but the process B, it is larger than the portion size or partition size, that is 16 MB, which can be addressed in smaller portion size, which is one of the drawbacks using such partitioning. Notice that there is some space available in both the partitioning schemes which cannot be allocated to any process if suppose we need them. Remember, spanning is not allowed here. So if more and more processes come in, we will have more waste space that cannot be used by the other processes. This non-usable space is known as internal fragmentation, as in the case of static partitioning. Next, we have dynamic partitioning. In dynamic partitioning, the primary memory is emptied, or the main memory we say is emptied. Here we have two identical memories which are emptied, and partitions are made during the runtime according to the needs of the different processes. So the size of the partition will be equal to the incoming process. That means the number of partitions will not be fixed and will depend on the number of incoming processes. It will also depend on the size of the memory, of course. The partition size varies according to the need of the process. So here again we have an equal size of processes, let's say A, B, C and D, while on the other hand of the equal size of processes A, B, C and D, in both the situations we don't have any problems accommodating the processes inside the main memory. But watch what happens when two or more processes leaves from the main memory, still creates a space, as was in the case of the fixed partitioning. So here we have again 8 MB left with each memory. This space cannot be used by a process that is the larger of the available size, that is 8 MB. So we still face fragmentation, but here we call it external fragmentation. So now we know that management of memory, either static or dynamic, leads to fragmentation problems. So how we can eliminate or reduce these problems? We can use different type of memory management techniques. So let's study two most popular techniques that are called paging and segmentation. So what is paging? Paging is a technique which allows the memory allocation to be non-contiguously addressed, as we saw earlier in the case of partitioning. So for example, here we have a paging example. The main memory is divided this time into fixed partitions or fixed chunks called frames of equal sizes. So here we have a 16 KB of memory divided equally of 1 KB of frame size. Now the process is also divided into parts, and we now call them pages. Here remember that the page size and the frame size must be equal. You can think of this setup as similar to fixed partitions, but the things are somewhat different here. The pages of the process can be allocated here as frames in the main memory non-contiguously. So here for example we have process A, B, C and D have been paged of equal size of 1 KB. All can be fit into the memory with no problem. But when two or more processes leaves the main memory or swapped out for any reason, it still creates an empty space as did in the fixed partitioning. But the beauty of paging is that we can use that non-contiguous space efficiently here. So for example, another process E kicks in. It will be allocated by dividing the space, as we have paging here. We have paged the process E, so we can easily fit that paged size process into the main memory. So it will be split up into two portions, as we can see, and fit in the main memory. So when the CPU calls a process, the logical address is generated, because CPU doesn't know about anything what we are doing with the memory management, either what technique we are using. The CPU doesn't know at all. So what it will do, it will place the logical address which will actually the next instruction in a process which the CPU is executing. But that will not point to physical address of the process that is currently in the main memory. We have to convert, or the say MMU, memory management unit, has to convert that logical address into the physical address. So in order to make that happen, we need another thing which can be used to calculate that physical address using the logical address. So it's the page table that do keep all the references that can be used to calculate the physical address. In other words, all the pages are mapped in the page table. Well, actually there is one page table for one process, so there will be as many page tables as the processes are in the main memory. So where are these page tables maintained? Yes, of course, the memory management unit. We do the job for us. Let's take a deep look by studying an example of page translation or address translation. So suppose we have a 32-bit address bus, and the page size is 4 kilobyte. So to address this 4 kilobyte, we need a 12-bit address, which is our offset. So the rest of the address bus, which is 20-bit, can be used for the virtual page number. So let's say the CPU generates a logical address of 1332532. Of course, that's the hexadecimal. The 5 bits 13325 are actually the page number, and the 325 is the offset. So this offset is separated by the MMU, and page table is called to get the actual frame number. So here we can see, once collected, the frame address is concatenated with the offset, which represents the physical address of the process in the memory. So here we can say the 0300 4328 is the actual physical address that is present in the main memory. So here back again. So practically there are much more processes in the memory, especially in the case of multi-programming scenario, where the object is to push as many processes as we can. The page table increases, and so are the processes. We need another storage to store these pages as well as the processes. So we often use hard disk or any secondary memory device for this swapping. The data is pushed to and from the disk as needed, which is also known as the virtual memory. So let's talk about the segmentation. It's very similar in appearance to the paging, in sense that we divide each process into segments, but it's more like dynamic partitioning, as the segments are not equal in size, as we saw in the dynamic partitioning. Also, we can address the memory non-contiguously, as was in the paging. So you can see we have segment table this time instead of page tables, but of course all these are managed by the MMU. Let's take an example. For instance, as like before, we have logical address, which contains the segment number this time, and the offset, which is the size of the segment to be called. Our segment table now contains the starting address of the segment, but also the size of the segment. In order to prevent invalid address, we have a condition here as shown: d is less than or equal to size, that is, the offset can't be greater than the size. In this way, the invalid address can't be called. Again, the physical address is obtained by getting the base address from the segment table and then combining with the offset, which is the instruction segment location of the process as requested by the CPU. So I hope you will be able to understand these topics this time. And well, that's all from me. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.